Sziasztok! Értitek azt, amit mondom? Fontos nyelvet tanulni fiatalon. Arról fogunk beszélni arról a napról, és remélem, hogy egyetértek. You're probably confused what just happened and what the sounds were coming out of my mouth. Well, that was the Hungarian language, and if you needed to understand what I just said, to be able to know where to go, or to be able to close a large business transaction, or even as simple as reading a menu, would you be able to? No, I don't expect you to say yes to that regarding the Hungarian language, but today we will be talking about why children should learn a second language in elementary school. First, we will talk about why learning a second language at a younger age is far easier. Next, we will discuss the health and neurological benefits. And lastly, we will talk about the economic and social benefits of being bilingual.
Exactly. So now that after doing a whole host of research on this topic, it seemed that we were getting several conflicting opinions as to whether it was easier for an adult or easier for a child. But really burying ourselves into the research, we saw that the statistics and the numbers showed that children were significantly better at learning a second language than an adult would be. It seems that adults tend to struggle a lot more, and it takes them a little bit longer to grasp even the easier concepts of the language. And so we wanted to share a quick video real quick that kind of starts to divulge why it's simpler for children and what's going on in their brains that's different than ours.
About children from the age of 2 to the age of 16, thereabouts, almost everything they do helps them to learn their language. That is why it's so hard to recreate that experience as adults when we learn a second language. Although you can do all this stuff that's great for language learning, it's very hard to recreate all the things that a 2-year-old to a 16-year-old went through.
And so kind of expanding on what our speaker was saying during that video, a child is constantly in the process of learning the language throughout their normal daily tasks. They're practicing the language with their parents, they're learning more about it in school, and so their entire day is built around learning a language. And it turns out that by having that part of their brain active all day long, they're actually more capable of accepting new information and learning new languages at the same time. And many researchers have studied whether there begins to be any sort of confusion between the two languages, and there actually isn't. Kids are quite capable of separating the two languages out and mastering both of them at the same time. Children also have the gift of being able to speak a lot simpler than adults. Children are not trying to expand their thoughts and think deeply and share those thoughts with others. Rather, they're just trying to get across what they're thinking in the most basic sense. And by doing this, learning a language is significantly easier for them. Without having to learn the complex parts of the language, a child is able to focus in on what is easiest for them and effectively communicate. And that communication is what a lot of adults try to skip over. And we try to skip to the hardest steps first, and we kind of miss out on the basics in the process. And children also have one thing that adults tend not to have, and that is time. By just having their schoolwork during the day and then they go home and play with friends or do homework, they have the time to focus on learning a second language, especially if we incorporate that into their schoolwork or into what they're doing at home. So by sharing a second language with them during their day, they'll have many hours of practice by the time they're reaching even just high school age. And that's something that's hard to capture later on in life once we get bogged down with work and chores and many other tasks. It's hard to find time to actually dedicate to learning the language.
So as David was saying, there's been many concerns regarding secondary language study. Many people talk about how they're worried this will produce language confusion, delay in learning, and cognitive defects. Susan S. Land from the Cornell Chronicle said the following: children who learn a second language can maintain attention despite outside stimuli better than children who only know one language. When looking at the benefits of learning a second language at a young age, there are too many benefits to dispute that it's not a good idea. For example, actfl.org said that learning a second language boosts problem solving, critical thinking, and listening skills, in addition to improving memory, concentration, and the ability to multitask. Children proficient in other languages also have signs of enhanced creativity and mental flexibility. When we're researching a second language at a study at a second studying a second language at a younger age, people scored 100 points higher on the SAT who went through 4 years of language study compared to those that only took half a year of language study. This obviously shows that students will outperform those with a secondary language compared to those that are just monolingual. In a world that is such tech driven and it has so many distractions around us, having a strong brain and ability to perform is necessary. There are many examples that prove being bilingual can produce better neurological results than just monolingualism. Studies have shown that there are many cognitive advantages to becoming bilingual. For example, Barbara Lust, a developmental psychology expert, said that being bilingual makes you focus better and learn quicker compared to people that just speak one language. So not only are there benefits for children at a young age, but there is tons of benefits to learning a language for older people. An interesting study showed that speaking a different language can actually fend off the onset of dementia. A Plumex metric writer, Gigi Luke, said that cognitive reserve is stronger when someone speaks two languages. This will keep the cognitive reserve strong that will fend off the onset of dementia. And this is not the only case of health benefits when someone speaks two languages. It can actually postpone symptoms of Alzheimer's disease 5 to 6 years later than those that don't speak another language. So there are many more health benefits, but we will now talk about how being bilingual can have a positive economic and social impact.
All right, so we talked a lot about kind of why it will benefit you, but now I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can apply it kind of into like the real world. So the first thing is the second language knowledge can actually improve your resume with employers. Now, as people start looking for jobs, they kind of get into this newer age. Knowing a second language is crucial. Being able to kind of communicate with another culture, another group of people, that another kind of somebody you're competing for the job might not have that skill is very, very important to kind of getting the job, because employers are looking for somebody who can teach or kind of go through a communicational process with multiple sets of groups of people rather than just kind of focusing on one. So being able to have that second language to communicate with a wider group of people is crucial for employers. And that's one thing that they are starting to look for as they hire new employees. Another great benefit for an economical or social benefit is clear communication with people of different culture. Having that clear communication makes whatever you're trying to either sell or kind of push onto them a lot easier, because you can get your points across clearer so that not only they understand, but you're kind of getting the points that you need to them as best as possible. And that kind of leads into the last point that I have, and that is increased confidence and self-awareness. Well, I know that talking to people of other cultures has been difficult for me personally because I only know one language. But if I knew that second language, I'd be able to get across to them clearer and be able to give them what they want. Because I know a lot of time working in retail, people have come up to me and they've talked to me in a different language, and I haven't been able to help them to the best of my abilities. And so knowing that second language can get you across to these people that know different languages that you might not have come across in your life. So that's why knowing that second language is so crucial, because you're able to help so many more people and be a lot more efficient in your jobs and just kind of in your everyday life as a person. So that's kind of why we stress a lot that we want elementary school kids to start learning that second language so that they can be more positive and more influential in their jobs as they continue to grow up and kind of get to the place that they want to be with that job. So those are just kind of some of the economic and social benefits that we have. And so, yeah, we're going to head on to the conclusion real quick.
So to conclude, we would like to challenge everyone with children or without children, just everyone you know, to have their children enrolled in a secondary language program at an early age in elementary levels. We have learned that the benefits far outweigh the negatives. We would like to close with a quote from Frank Smith that said, "One language sets you in a corridor, two languages opens up every door along the way." Thank you.